Hi everyone, pretty cool demo, right? A bit scary. So today I'm gonna show you how to build this on RPG in a box. So we're gonna divide this video into two parts. The first part is gonna be the speed up part of the video in which I show how to build the objects and the tiles. This is pretty standard stuff in RPG in a box. So if you know about the engine, go into the second part. And the second part is gonna go on the normal speed, and I'm gonna go on a step-by-step format showing how to build the first person shooting of the game. Why? Because these are new tools inside the engine, so I'm gonna show you how you can use them to make your own games. So I think that'd be all. If you want to support the channel, you can find me on Coffee, you can find me on Patreon, and please wishlist my game Spaceman Memories on Steam. So let's get into the learning. Starting a project in RPG in a box is pretty standard stuff. As in my other videos, I'm showing how to build the game from the ground up. As always, I start with the tiles that I need for the world. It's all pretty easy, and with just a couple of different tiles you can start building a world that makes sense. For this small game demo, I was aiming for a 4-way intersection with some buildings around it. It's just 4 tiles that I needed to get the basis of this working. Afterwards, I modeled some building facades because that's all that I needed for this demo. There's no need to use computing resources in stuff that you aren't going to see. I worked with dull colors to give a somber setting to this scary town. This is all super easy stuff to do in RPG in a box. The voxel editor is a pretty straightforward tool to build stuff that works. If you aren't familiarized with the engine, all of these assets like the walls and buildings are called objects within the engine, and they go on top of tiles. They have different attributes than tiles, and the mix of both of them is what brings worlds into life. All the structures were basically built, so the next thing is changing the look of the world through lighting and effects. I went for a night setting, so I changed the ambient light color in the map attributes and changed the color of the sky. This is all standard stuff in RPG in a box. If you're interested, you can check out my other RPG in a box videos on my channel. The next thing was building some sort of building interior to set up the area of the world where the player is going to appear at the beginning. As before, this is all done in the voxel editor, where you can also add lights to the objects. As you can see, up to this point, all of these things are already working, and it's all about clicking on buttons and switches on the UI of the engine. There is no coding involved yet. This is cool progress. I added lights for the interior setting and also modeled some light posts for the exterior of the game. I'm using some basic animations to turn them on and off randomly. There are no hidden settings to make this work, but if you want to see more about the voxel editor and lights on RPG in a box, check out my other videos or download the software. I can assure you can find out how this works. RPG in a box has its own asset library where you can grab working models and use them in your games. I got this one made by Sarah Arnold, and in no time I started coding some basic stuff to use it as an entity that appears as a ghost. This involves adding just a little bit of code to a tile and making the enemy appear. Super basic stuff, but what makes it interesting is where you do it and the sound effects that you use for this type of in-game settings. Importing audio into the engine is just drag and dropping and assigning it as music or sound effects. OGG files are recommended, as I found out are the ones that work best with RPG in a box. I did some game testing and I felt that I could make a more surrounding world by making the buildings taller. I just used the same assets that I had. I duplicated them and added attach points on the top of the previous walls and buildings. With just a couple of clicks, I attached them and made everything taller on the world. Basically, all these buildings and walls are made up of 2 objects. Attach points are one of the most important and useful features on RPG in a box. There's no limits to what you can build with them. So as I said before, that was the first part in which I don't go in depth about how to build these things, because these are basic things. If you want to see more about it, go and see my other videos or download the software. Let's go on to the second part in which we can see how to build the first person shooting of the game. First thing that we gotta do is go into the game configuration and enable the first person camera. You can find it on the gameplay section. Enable it, and afterwards go into the physics and enable jumping. I'm using jumping as it will be necessary to go on top of some tiles like sidewalks and the like. I'm using 55 as vertical velocity, as the default 70 is too much for this game. Then go to your base jousting model in the voxel editor. This is the character that is part of the default template project for RPG in a box, but if you want it, you can import it from the asset library. In Model Properties, find the animations and select the attack animation. Set the sound effect to whichever shooting sound you import into the project. Make sure to save this model. Afterwards, go into the Items tab and create a new item. Use whichever name you want. I will be using Shotgun for my weapon item. Go below into its attributes and set it as equipable and as a weapon. Don't forget to add the weapon tag, as this is necessary for this to work. Set this weapon as ranged and change the projectile speed to 0. For this type of hitscan weapons, this is the suitable velocity, as the bullet colliding is instant. Then, to make it work better, set the minimum range to 0 tiles and the maximum range to 20. This lets you shoot from close range but also from medium range. Save the progress on this item. Let's go and create the shotgun. Create a new object and name it Shotgun. The first thing to do is add in the weapon tag to this item to make it work as a weapon. As I said, this is essential for this object to attach to the player's right hand. Then, model whichever weapon you want. I will be making a very basic shotgun. Don't overthink it, you can always make something more detailed later. Right now, let's worry about making this work. When you finish modeling it, select the attach point button and click on the side of the weapon where you wanna attach it to the player. Name this attach point right hand. This name has to be exactly written and named this way, as this is the name of the attach point on the player. Save the progress on this object. After doing this, go into the script editor and open the startup script. Find the give item function and drag and drop it into the editor, and find the equip function and drag and drop it into the editor. We need to use these two lines as items need to be added into the inventory, and just after doing that you can equip them. We are using item 0001, which is our shotgun. We can find the item code on the right top corner of the item menu. Apply these changes and save your progress on this script. Then we need a new character, as this one will be our view model. Give a name to this new character. The view model is the one that works as a camera on first person in RPG in a Box. In the voxel editor, navigate to the back of this character. This has to be on the back view because that is how the camera is set up on the engine. Click on the attach point button and add a new attach point named camera. Then add a new attach point named right hand with exactly the same format as before on the shotgun. Then go into the model properties and select the right hand attach point and click on its configuration button. Find the object model for the shotgun and set it here and click on automatically attach this object in game. As you can see, you would expect this to work, but as I said before, the camera is inverted, so we need to make the weapon look into the back of it. To do this, just change the Z rotation angle of this attachment to -179 degrees. This is the correct angle for weapons on the view model in RPG in a Box. Go back into the configuration and unattach the shotgun from this attachment. After that, go into your item tab and in the shotgun settings, change the object model for the view model to the shotgun. This means that the shotgun is going to get attached to the view model right hand attachment and we are going to be able to see it. Save your progress on this item. Then go back into the game configuration and in the camera setting, change the view model to the one we created. The character that will still get the collisions will still be base Justin, but the one that works as our camera will be this one. Save the changes. The last thing that we need to do to make all of this work is go into the view model character and set up a simple animation so the weapon has a bit of recoil. On the voxel editor, duplicate the initial frame and then create a new animation and name it attack. This naming is non-negotiable, it's the only way to make it work with the sound. Set it to start on frame 2 and end on frame 2. Type 2 once and save it. Then go onto the second frame of this model and change the Y offset of the right hand attach point. Move it a bit to the back of the camera. This means that when we attack with the weapon item, the weapon will move a bit to the back as if it had a bit of recoil. Keep tinkering with the setting until you find something that works for you. Check the difference between the two frames to make sure that the attach point is moving. Save your progress on this model. This is all that we need to make this work. Go into play mode and try your first person shooter on RPG in a Box. Hey, where did those guys come from? Yeah, as I said before, pretty easy to make on this engine. I just duplicated the previous model that I imported. I named it Zombie and I changed the colors to something zombie-like on the voxel editor. Then I placed it onto the map and set it on the attributes as an enemy which is attackable in real time. This is very important. That's the only way that you will be able to shoot them. Place whichever amount of them as you want on the map and right click on the original one and click on copy attributes. Then select all of them and click on paste attributes. There it is, that's all. Now you've got working enemies inside the game. So I think that pretty sums it all about building a basic first-person shooter on RPG in a Box, and as always it's pretty easy to do. It's astonishing how this tool makes everything easy. So also, if you wanna use the project that I used in this video, I put it up on my GitHub. You can go and download it. You can do whatever you want with it. Download it, use it, put it onto the software and make your own games with it, or make your own game from scratch watching the tutorial. So I think that'd be all. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
Feel better about my shortcomings. Sing a little song, do a little dance, smile for the camera. Don't get caught up inside the damage. Bring a little joy, find some quirky friends that you think could stand you. Life's hard with two hands to handle. Break out of the norm, life is pretty boring when there's nothing random. Loop